Hi, my name is Randy Simmons for Eye on Arts. This is another episode for the show, and we're at downtown Paducah at the Museum of the American Quilting Society. There's a lot of great quilts in here that are just real works of art, and there's a wonderful group of ladies you guys have to meet. They're called the Yo-Yos. Okay, let's go in. We're inside the Museum of the American Quilter Society, and our guest today will be Judy Schwender. She's the curator for the Quilt Museum. Thanks for having us in today.
We're very happy that you're here, Randy.
I'm glad to be here. I was really taken aback by this puffin quilt. You want to tell us a little bit about the puffin quilt?
Well, the puffin quilt was made by Shirley Kelly, and she's from New York State, and it won the Bernina Machine Workmanship Award at the 2005 American Quilter Society Show and Contest. And it's pretty much a real favorite with our viewers and with the visitors because they're so birdy. They really are. They're so birdy. And she told me when I interviewed her on the phone to get some information, she said, well, this was really supposed to be a small quilt. And she kind of envisioned, 5 or 7 puffins. And it kept asking for more puffins. And there's about 48 puffins on here. I've not actually counted them, but a quilt will tell you, when you're making a quilt, and I am a quilter, it will tell you what it wants to be. And one of the things that I think just people really love about this is puffins are comical, and there's so many of them. But this is how they roost. And Shirley went to Nova Scotia, where her mother grew up, and did drawings and took photographs. So this is really kind of a record for her, of a family journey. In the machine workmanship, it was all appliqued by hand. And what applique is where you take a section of fabric and you lay it on top of another section with the edges turned under, and then it's invisibly stitched in place. And she did all that by hand. But the quilting in here, she's done the quilting free motion machine. Do you want me to explain that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, because a lot of people are kind of intimidated by the techniques. On a regular home sewing machine, you have the feed dogs, which pull the fabric through as you sew. What you do is you drop the feed dogs and then you use a darning foot, and the whole quilt is manipulated to get these meander stitches or vermicelli stitches. And they just kind of wander, you just keep going and going. And that's the kind of quilting she's used up here in the rocks. And then up here in the sky, she's gone kind of back and forth, so it looks kind of like filmy clouds. So she did the quilting, she's done a really good job of having the quilting accent and not overpower the puffins. Although how you would overpower these puffins, I have no clue. But it's very, very popular with our
It's got
visitors.
a lot of texture in this quilt as well. And that's that technique you're talking about has so much texture to it, of course, along with the painted designs, the dyed fabric in there. I mean, I want to rub my hands over that, which I shouldn't, but I want to rub my hands over that so much.
That's what everybody else they do want to touch the quilts. That's a natural reaction. But she has done a really good job with the texture. And you're right, the pattern fabric and the dyed fabric just all add to the rockiness of the whole piece.
So what started out as 6 or 7 puffins turned into 48.
Yeah.
And then turned into being an award-winning
quilt. And it's a purchase award, so it came to the museum. And we have other award-winning quilts and other wonderful quilts. Have you seen the Beatles Quilt?
I got a glimpse of that, so let's go check that out.
Yes, let's go check that out.
Ah, the Beatles quilt.
The Beatles Quilt.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. This quilt was made by 2 sisters, Pat Holly and Sue Nichols, and it was the Best to Show award-winning quilt in 1998 at the American Quilter Society contest. And it's a tribute to the Beatles. And our visitors just love it because there's a lot to discover in the quilt. So
there's clues to songs hidden within the quilts. I bet you guys can guess this one. Yeah. That's an easy one. Yellow Submarine. And there's some hard ones that I haven't figured out either.
Now
this one here, this is alluding to.
Oh, and that one I can't remember.
I can't either.
Yeah, but That's just it. We have a legend on
But
the wall.
there, yeah, we do have a legend to
but we're
figure
trying
this
to stay
out.
away from it.
Back in the USSR,
Because it has balalaikas and a red onion.
Octopus Garden,
Octopus's Garden in the shade.
Little Piggies. Is that what that is from the White Album?
Yes, 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 yes. Then you have, this one I think is so fun because it has Rocky Raccoon with his little birthday cake.
Right, and the Gideon's
And
Bible.
the Gideon's Bible. And you work your way around the quilt. You'll find way at the top there, you'll see there's a bathtub, a clock, moon, and pine trees. And what song is that?
This is Norwegian Wood.
Norwegian Wood.
Right.
So the whole quilt has visual references to songs that the Beatles did when they were together. And of course, it's in 60s type colors, magenta and lime green. The central motif, apple tree for Apple Records.
And these 4 blocks all represent, each one
of-
represents
each
the
of
Beatles.
Right. James Paul McCartney, birth date June 18th, 1942. And the actual quilt itself, the overall format, now it's real contemporary content, nothing really, you know, the Beatles. It's in our lifetime. But it's based on antique medallion style quilts, where you had a center motif, and then you had consecutive borders around it, kind of framing it, and they kind of kept growing. So that is a very, very, very traditional form that goes back to the early 1800s. So there's historical underpinnings for this quilt, but yet, like I said, it's contemporary style and content and colors.
With a rock and roll theme.
With a rock and roll theme, so
You can't
it's
go
not
wrong
your
with that.
grandmother's quilt. Unless you're real young, and then maybe, yeah, your grandmother would have made this.
Well, you know, it's got a lot of texture again as well, and it's so, you know, I want to touch it so bad, but we shouldn't touch
Right.
quilts. Why should we not touch the quilts?
Well, actually, what happens is we get about 40,000 visitors through each year, and our hands, unless we wash them immediately, if you think about how sweaty and everything you touch, money, and you know, you inadvertently rub your
Right.
nose or you sweep your hair out of your face, and that soil gets on the quilts and it would make them grubby. And 40,000 people a year, think about your jeans, and if you did this to your pants 40,000 times when your hands weren't
Wow.
clean. And that's how soiled the quilts would become. And I like to think of it as in a range from the elbow to the shoulder, because that's where your hand
Yeah.
operates. So we probably have a band of soil across all our quilts
Wow.
about this big. And of course we don't want to do it because we want everybody to be able to enjoy these quilts in as pristine a state as possible.
And while I'm thinking about it, what about photography of the quilts?
Well, we don't allow photography for a number of reasons. One is copyright issues.
Okay.
In many cases, the maker of the quilt still retains the copyright to the quilt. And also, light is a permanent, can cause permanent damage to quilts. Light damage is also cumulative. So it's not where if we expose it to light today and then tuck it away for 6 months, it'll fix itself. It
Right.
doesn't happen.
Once it's damaged, it's
Once
damaged.
it's damaged, it's like your skin. Once it's done, it's done. So we don't permit photography. But it's very tempting because we all have quilts at home, or we slept under a quilt at Grandma's, and it's real tempting to come up and touch them. So.
Yeah, it may be hard for people to think of quilting as being an art form, being that everybody has a quilt on their bed, and being that they have that association with it, then they may think, oh, it's okay, it's just a quilt. And think, well, it's okay to rub this, it's all right.
And we get that, but if you think about it, women, traditionally, of course, quilting is considered a woman's art form, or craft form, if you will. And over the years, what women have put into this hasn't really been, they really haven't been recognized. So currently, the Best of Show Award is at $20,000. And that helps elevate the art and elevate the recognition that women receive for their work. And to turn around and say, well, this is just a quilt, doesn't not do justice to this piece. So I think, you know, that kind of an award really tells us that women have come into their own. Quilters have come into their own, not just the women, men too. And this isn't in paint, it's not sculpted out of
Right.
stone, but it is art. These people are in command of their tools, they're in command of their techniques, they're in command of their design, and they really, really push it to the limit and really achieve, you know, beautiful work.
So you do get some men who
Oh, yeah.
quilt and enter the competitions. In fact, I think you have an airplane image that I would love to go check out next.
Yes, let's do that.
Shall we do that?
Yes.
Great. And this one's made by a guy.
This one's made by a man. This quilt is Air Show by Jonathan Shannon, and it won the American Quilter Society Best of Show Award in 1993. And one of the things that's so fabulous about this quilt is that it's made by a man.
Let's hear it for the guys.
Let's hear it for the guys. This is a really popular quilt with the visitors, particularly a lot of the men, and if they've ever played with model airplanes, my brothers did, and blew them up in the backyard. You recognize the biplanes, propellers, which we never see anymore, So it's just a real fun quilt. And I like, it's kind of hard to see, but there's plume quilting in here, which makes me think of the vapor trails that come out behind planes. And the whole composition, man is trying to reach the stars through aviation, so this kind of has star points all the way around. And he's really done a great job of composing this quilt because he has dark airplanes on a light background in this corner, and that graduates up to a light airplane on a dark background up in the upper left corner. So compositionally, it's just fabulous, especially with the wings of this biplane breaking this round border. And this is another one of the quilts that was named one of the 100 best American quilts of the 20th century.
This reminds me of a compass as well, the directional
yeah.
compass with those points on it. That's
Yeah.
what I was just thinking. Now, there's also a picture on the back of this
Yes.
as well, and you've got gloves on, so don't try this at home.
Yes, don't try this at home. Yes, he pieced the back as well.
So it's two works of art in one.
In one, yes. A few of our quilts have this double-sided feature. There's actually a map of Nova Scotia on the back of the Puffin's quilt.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
another quilt, Corona 2 Solar Eclipse by Carol Breyer Fowler, that's pieced in the back as well.
Well, we're going to be checking that out
Yeah.
in just a moment. We have some ladies in the lobby who are quilting right
yo-yos.
now. Let's go meet the yo-yos.
Oh, yes.
All right,
let's
we're
do it.
going this way,
We're
by the
going
way.
to see the yo-yos.
Does anybody have a pen book you can borrow? I have one.
Oh, great. I do. Great, I'm ready. All right, give me a needle.
Okay, wait just a minute. I'm going to do this one. She's fixing you one.
We didn't have much to give then. So when they showed up firing them mean looks around the place and staring us down on prices, well, I was angry. Didn't seem to bother my father, though. He had me load another bushel of apples in their trunk. I learned later on that this family was in need.
The greatest gift we give, it's in our heart, what we believe, the way we live.
Caring for others. Pass it on.
So you guys are named the yo-yos.
Yes.
And that's not about your mental capacity, right?
Well, sometimes people say that, but no. More ways than one.
And you're named the yo-yos because of what reason?
Because of this little thing. This is called a yo-yo. It's a fabric yo-yo, and we demonstrate making those to like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, school people. And we do a lot of things. We do cards and things, and the things that we sell, we give our money to charity.
Great. And how much money have you raised so far?
This year we've given away $10,700.
Wow.
There's only 5 of us.
Only 5 of you guys.
Yeah.
Wow. So would you call that working undercover?
That was good.
So I'm the first one that's used that joke.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, well, I'm trying this now, and I don't think I'm succeeding at this. Go through there, go through there. So you guys will keep this, right? I'm now a quilter, and you're going to keep my stitching?
We'll probably pick it out after you leave.
Man, I'm hurt. So, and you guys, I noticed on this catalog over here, you guys have been featured in Japan, China?
In a Japanese magazine.
24/7 Kentucky.
Oh, yes, we were also in 24/7.
Check this out.
Kentucky.
In Paducah, in the Paducah book.
Isn't that wonderful? You guys are known nationally now.
Yeah, it was really fun during the quilt show when the Japanese ladies would see us and come running over and getting our autographs.
You guys were getting asked for autographs. I have the same problem. That's why I told my wife that, and she laughs too.
Okay.
So anybody can come over here and quilt. You guys come in on Wednesdays?
Actually, not anybody can come over and quilt. This is a raffle quilt for the museum.
Okay.
And so we sort of have to keep consistency in it. So, but there's 5 of us who come, and we quilt on Wednesdays from 9 till 4.
Hence the unraveling after we leave here. I can't even get it to go through.
Well, you've got to feel it with that finger underneath.
So how do you wash blood out of a quilt?
Well, if it's your blood, then you just spit on it, and your saliva will take your blood out of the quilt.
Or licking the quilt would get the same
Well, I
thing?
guess I've never tried that, but it might work.
For you, maybe.
Oh, look, it's going through.
Look, you did it.
Oh, am I pulling it out the other side though?
You've got it knotted.
Yeah.
You're okay.
You guys are keeping me in stitches. I think I've got the hang of this now.
Well, you'll be a quilter in no time.
Man,
You know,
I'm a
quilting is
professional.
addictive.
Oh yes. We didn't tell you that before you started.
So am I going to have withdrawals?
Quilt.
Just stop by the quilt out here somewhere at the quilt shop, pick you up some fabric, and make you a quilt. Tomorrow, well, you can show all your friends. Look, I made a quilt.
Whew, I'm tired. I have done a lot.
Oh my goodness, yes, he did 3 stitches.
Look at there. And this is the only quilt in the museum that we can actually touch, right?
Yeah, we allow people to touch the ones we're working on.
Oh, okay, good.
But then after
good.
they're draped, like the white on white over there,
I see. No more
then
touchy
you're not
touchy.
allowed to touch them anymore.
Okay. Great. Well, I think we have a few more quilts to go look at, so I'm going to let you ladies be. Thanks for talking with me.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate that.
We appreciate your work on the quilt.
Well, it was minor. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Showing your finger.
Oh yeah, you want to see what the underneath fingers look like?
Oh my gosh.
See, that's why you have to feel that underneath.
I sort of got those from playing guitar. Is that the same
Oh,
thing?
that's good. Yeah,
right.
you have a
Those
callus,
calluses,
an already
yeah.
callus. But see, that's what mine is too. See, that's a callus.
Yours look better than mine.
Well,
Mine are wimpy calluses.
well, mine's hard-working calluses.
Oh, okay, that's the difference. Okay.
I think it's too tall.
Did I say we're going to another quilt?
Thank you for coming by.
Thanks. Well, hello there.
Hello again.
Tell us about this piece. This is Corona 2.
Yes, Corona 2, Solar Eclipse. And this quilt is by Carol Breyer-Fallert. She's a quilt artist who is moving to Paducah and building a studio here in town as part of the Artist Relocation Program. Carol's been working for many years in using hand-dyed fabrics. This quilt was composed from her own hand-dyed fabrics. And in 1989, this quilt won the Best of Show Award at the American Quilters Society Show and Contest. And it is a machine-quilted quilt. And that caused kind of a controversy within the quilt world because a lot of hand quilters were really upset by that. But nowadays, that was in 1989, and here we are, 16 years later, and we have so many people that do machine quilting, and piece and quilt by machine. And here again, because the techniques and the materials and the methods have all just, increased in perfection.
So now it's acceptable for
now
machines to create the quilts.
As long as it's done well.
As long as
It has
it's
to be done well. And Carol's quilt is beautiful. This is the quilt most often associated with the museum. And I think when you see it once, you never forget it. The kids that come to the museum really enjoy it.
Well, and it's a cool subject matter too. I mean, it's about a solar eclipse.
Solar eclipse. Well, and how do you render that? Because a lot of us don't even really look at that. We're told not to. Don't stare at the sun when there's an eclipse going on. But when we bring school children in and start to talk to them about this quilt, they really get it. And that's one thing we do a lot of here. We do a lot of tours with school children, and we run workshops. And nationally known teachers, Carol has taught in the past, Diane Godinsky and other nationally known teachers teach here, and we have a wonderful workshop schedule.
So if somebody wanted to schedule a workshop, who should they contact?
Just call the museum and we'll put you through to the person, the right person. So.
Great. So these are workshops for children and up to high school?
Well, we have quilt camp in the summer, and then you can, with our education curator, Carrie Cox, she works with schools and with other groups to schedule children's workshops. But then we also have the adult workshops, where someone my age, they could come in and improve their skills in machine quilting or machine piecing or someone's technique. The Beatles Quilt, those ladies have come and taught, what they do. So it's a great way for people to improve their skills because they're learning from the best people.
So
in
not
the
only
nation.
you have workshops, but you have the yo-yos.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they deserve their own show on their own. I'm in tough competition here.
Yeah. But okay, if you walk in the door, and maybe you've never quilted before. Some of our visitors come in and look around. They've never quilted before, and then they end up talking to the yo-yos. And then they come in here and they look around, and then you'll see them back here a year later. I took up quilting after what I saw here. And then they, you find out that they start taking workshops, either, in their home guild or whatever. But it's a way of educating the public about quilts.
Well, something that's really interesting is that you have a permanent collection up all the time. There's a permanent collection that stays up year-round, but that changes within itself. I mean, the permanent collection, you've got how many pieces are in the permanent collection?
240.
So, and you have how many quilts stay up?
There's about 60 in the main gallery right now, so we rotate through.
Rotate through,
Rotate
and
through
then
the main
you have
collection.
2 side wings of galleries as well.
2 side galleries.
And one side is the more traditional quilting, and the other side is more contemporary
We
style.
tend to have, or try to have, an exhibit of antique quilts, traditional quilts from the 19th century or maybe early 20th century, and then quilts made by contemporary quilt makers. So we have a little bit of both going on. And those galleries change about every 3 months.
So maybe we should go check out some of the contemporary quilts. Would that be all right?
That would be fine.
Great. Let's go over
That
this way.
Oh boy. Oh, you'll like this one.
So here we are in the contemporary wing, and this is a really good example of contemporary quilting. So we're down on the farm here, and I'm going to guess that this kind of quilt would really attract a lot of people.
Yes.
Because it's very representational. Obviously cows in this, and certainly West Kentucky is known for being a rural area as well.
It is representational. This is Fort Morrison Jerseys by Ruth B. McDowell. We do have one of Ruth's quilts in our permanent collection, but this is an invitational exhibit. We wanted Ruth to come in and really show the world what she does, and people just want to come up, and
Don't touch. Don't touch.
and touch the noses because they're just so petable. And what she does, and it's kind of easy to see in here, she's created so much texture by using so many different fabrics for each of the faces. And she collected a different stash of fabrics to use in each face because she wanted each cow to have its own personality. And this one is looking right out at the camera. So he's curious about what's going on.
And his hair standing up, I think it's a cow lick.
Oh dear.
I had to do at least one cow joke.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. But this is Ruth B. McDowell, and we paired her up with Carol Taylor.
Let's take a look at that one.
Let's do Carol Taylor, non-figurative. A lot of people like to say abstract, but that's kind of a vague term to a lot of people.
Well,
So
compared to the cow we just saw,
right,
most certainly.
it's not non-figurative, not non-representational. She works in kind of solid areas with very simple quilting, but here a lot of her work is in solid colors, but she's gone into some pattern fabrics. This is her newest piece, and she does quilting that's not plumes or kind of traditional looking quilting, but it's very effective for what she does. She kind of stays within a block format over and over, but within each block there's quite a bit going on. And Carol's also going to be teaching here in our adult workshops, and a lot of our adult workshops we do, because since you and the yo-yos had such a good time learning about quilting. We do have beginner classes, Randy.
Well, I need beginner classes.
Well, I think we could do that. But we have adult workshops, and for all different levels, and beginner, particularly beginner, And you can find those on our website,
Which is,
www.quiltmuseum.org.
got it.
Yeah.
And you've got some examples from the children's workshop?
Yes, we do. Carrie Cox runs the children's workshops, and we also participated in the Kids Expo at the Executive Inn this year, and we did paper folded quilt stars, and it was paper and glue. And if you've tried this once, we have adults that just get into this and don't want to quit. So this was a lot of fun for the kids. We also have, in the galleries even, we have touch pieces in the galleries.
Oh, so we can touch these.
Yes, you can touch that. And now if you can open that up on the side, do you see where it shows the quilt sandwich? It's not ham and cheese.
It's not a roll.
No. It's got a top.
Well, can I get it?
There you go. It's got a top and it's got batting inside, and then it has a backing. So that's called the quilt sandwich. And the quilting stitch is what holds the 3 layers of the sandwich together. And that's basically the definition of a quilt.
I see.
So see, that's not so hard.
I think I can do this.
You think you can do this? Okay, do you think you could do this? This is a kid's.
Now we're getting into some more difficulty.
Okay, this is a kid's project. And this is where you place leaves on fabric and you hammer it.
Oh, I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, boys tend to like this. They're out there beating their brains with these hammered things. So this is a lot of fun. And it drives the natural colors of the leaves into the fabric.
What time of year are the leaves? Is this summer?
This was summer. Yeah, we did this one in the summer. Because, of course, by fall, the leaves are all dried out. So there's nothing to hammer.
Okay, that's true.
You want to get it when the leaves are juicy.
I see. Wow.
And one of our favorite projects that the kids just really liked. This is a cityscape quilt. We have a quilt in the collection by Lucretia Romney called Cityscape. And Carrie taught kids workshop on this, and the kids built their own cityscape. So they had all different kinds of buildings. Kids would have arcs in St. Louis and bridges and all kinds of things. And the kids just really enjoyed doing this. And a lot of this is fused, but it's still, they're composing something in fabric.
Great.
So kids are just enjoying this so
I'll just
much.
look at the back at the pattern.
Yeah.
So they don't do the pattern, they just do the sewing itself.
Yeah, getting the
Great.
pieces where they want them, just like Carol does or Ruth B. McDowell. You got to start somewhere, and the kids camp is that we run in the summer is a real good way for them to do that. You going to
Great.
come to kids camp?
Well, I think you've talked me into it.
There you go.
So how would they find out about the kids camp? Go to the website.
Go to the website, call the museum, or just come in and talk to us.
And we shouldn't forget the gift shop
The gift
as
shop.
well.
We have
Tell
a
us about
wonderful
the gift shop.
We have a wonderful gift shop, and we carry a lot of handcrafted items from Kentucky artisans, all kinds, hand-thrown pottery, glassware, just all kinds of things. And we have a selection of over 1,000 book titles related to quilts. So there's a little bit, and all kinds of just fun books, also books about Paducah.
And postcards.
And oh yeah, got to have postcards. Pens, all kinds of.
And T-shirts.
Got to have a T-shirt.
Okay.
Don't you want a T-shirt that says Quilt City USA?
I want one that says that.
There you go.
I work undercover.
I
had to use that phrase.
Okay.
Again. So, we need to call it a wrap. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
We're so glad you came, and we hope you come back again.
Oh, I sure will. And that's another wrap for Eye on Arts. I'm Randy Simmons. Thanks. Or what do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef.
Did I get it all in?